getting you better, and clearly it hasn't worked.
We both know what it is to be in a mother and daughter relationship, where we're eager to explore that, you know, how far you can go with it. It was easy. You know, she's a wonderful actress and so intuitive and so easy to connect with and available, emotionally present in a way that's visceral. You know, she's right there. And so once you kind of establish that and you know that someone's going to be a great partner, you're really able to build it together.
When you're with someone who makes you feel so safe in a scene and just wants to be such a good scene partner, you already know that you're going to be connected. And even when we weren't filming, like, we're talking about life and laughing and having a good time, even though we were just doing really, really dark material.
It was more about tuning into each other's frequencies. So you never really get much time to rehearse on most movies. You get like a couple of days or something. So my process is more spending one-on-one with the actors, talking about the character, going through the scenes together. There's much to just hear out each other's ideas and impressions with no sense of like there has to be right answers. You know, you're more just kind of sharing like thoughts about the script. With Julianne, we read through the whole script together, and I unwisely suggested that I read the other roles and she reads for her part. And then a couple of pages into it, I thought, oh no, I'm acting opposite Julianne Moore and I'm terrible. So she gave me some tips on how to like up my performance. And then I think she started to read some of the other roles. But just doing that and going sort of page by page and just, yeah, sometimes you wouldn't have any questions about a scene, and sometimes there was a lot to get into, and you'd ask what's going on here, and you know, why is this character doing this? And again, you're not trying to find the answers. But I think just going through that process, it just lets everyone know that we're here to collaborate and find answers together.
There were tremendous technical challenges. I'd never done any tank work, so we did all of the exterior stuff on an actual lake, which was hard enough because it was cold. Sometimes it was at night, and it was scary. It can be kind of scary, but the tank, that's where you have to use a regulator. I've never done any diving. I had only one day of training, and it turns out I'm very fluty. I bobbed the top really fast. So it was all about learning how to do that and, you know, going underwater and holding on. And it was really fascinating. And I don't know that I would have done that if it weren't for a job. So I was glad that I got the opportunity to try. It was cool.
We did that in Pinewood Studios in London. They built an underwater stage for James Bond films. And now like a lot of stuff is shot there, and they have a great underwater dive unit. It might have been Julianne's first time doing underwater scenes, or she hadn't done much of it. So it was a steep learning curve for all of us. She has to go underwater with a tank, take big gulps of air, take it off, take her mask off, and act. And it's a very slow process to do it that way. And we were doing that many, many months after shooting the above the water scenes in New Jersey. So you're storyboarding everything and you're making sure everything cuts together. But it's always fun to do a new challenge.
Hello, sweetheart. How you doing?
I think he is angry. I think he's under the gun like a lot. I think he's under a lot of pressure in his life. I think he's taken advantage of people in a way that is despicable, and he will continue to do that. The anger is there because he looks at Kate and he thinks she doesn't know how good she has it. She's saying, I have nothing. And he's saying, you have a lot. And the fact that you don't recognize that is the problem with you people. That's how he sees them. I worked with an amazing dialect coach called Tim Monick, and what we were trying to find was an accent that was real and that would not take you out of it or differentiate you from other people in the film, because it's set in a certain world and it needs to exist in there, and you just don't want people to go, that's somebody doing an accent. And sometimes you get it right and sometimes you get it wrong, but you just do your homework and hope it works out.
He's got such range, like each one of his roles seems different from the last. And me and Brad spoke about how we didn't want this to be a kind of archetype of a bad guy, or to be thuggish, or to be threatening because they've got certain tattoos, or, you know, we thought we liked this idea that he's quite serpentine and he kind of slithers onto this landscape and coils himself around these characters. And then when I spoke to Domhnall, I know one of his, you know, he had the same questions and concerns, and he was like, how do we make this guy feel human and specific? It's the detailed, granular stuff that makes the character come alive for him. So it's like, we like the idea that he has a certain amount of vanity with his hair, or maybe he spent a lot of money on a jacket, but his shoes are kind of grungy and they're not quite cool, and he can never quite fit in, and he's a bit of an outsider. And we like, you know, the idea of bringing in some humor into his character.
I'll look at you anyway, Jackie.
No?
It's weirdly reflective of like a scene I have with Kate in the film where I'm the one doing the questioning. You want to know where the power is in the room, and then you want that power exerted, and you don't want it all to be one directional. You want it to kind of have a bit of back and forth. So to keep it interesting, it needs to be swinging both ways, and I think that that's what we kind of got. I think it never felt like it fully settled until it really settles. So the back and forth is important, and I think being there for your scene partner is really important. They're chunky scenes. They're the ones you star in your script and say, right, like I need to be off book well in advance. I need to be on top of my dialect. I need to know, and I need to have loads of different reasons for saying these lines. And then on the day, I have to surprise myself and surprise Julianne and surprise my director. Not by making bad choices, but by allowing yourself to go wherever you feel like. There's a great joy to be had in that. When they're well written, it's fun.
So who's helping you take care of the place?
No one.
God, Kate, are you out of your mind?
The title's the name of the farm, so I needed to have a strong presence visually in the film, atmospherically. We felt like every horse farm in New Jersey and Pennsylvania at one point. We were looking for something that was rich in atmosphere because 3/4 of the movie takes place there. And it's so easy for a horse farm to seem quite quaint on screen, and it needed to have a mystery to it. And we realized as we were location scouting that finding this location was as important as casting one of the actors. If we didn't get it right, I don't know if the movie would have worked.
You need to leave, or I'm going to call the police.
It needed to be idyllic enough that you understood why Julianne's character was trying so hard to keep hold of it. Also modest enough that it fitted her character and it didn't put her up too high up in terms of status within the film. Obviously, the architecture of the barns, you needed to have like an apartment that could go above the hay barn, that was above some stables. It needed to be nestled within a valley. It needed to have the space so we could build a riding ring. It was just a whole litany of things. And a couple of weeks into pre-production, we thought we might never find one location that could give us all of these things. So it was not that many weeks before shooting that we found this one. It's a feeling when you go to a location. You kind of have this checklist, but you're also just walking around the location going, do I enjoy it? Is it evocative? Is this a place where movies should be set? And me and my cinematographer and production designer, we just walked around for 5 minutes and we looked at each other and just started nodding because we just felt something, that this is where the story should be set.
What's one thing you always brought to set every single day?
Probably my script. I mean, my script is the thing I would have all the time, and you're crossing off the scenes as you do them, but you're making sure you don't leave any of Jackie out of the movie. And so you're just reminding yourself to bring all of them to every scene.
A good attitude.
What was your favorite scene to film and why?
I think it was the big fight.
Yeah, I think it was one of my favorite scenes
That was
too.
a really, really fun thing to do. It was incredibly challenging.
Please tell me the dog is okay, though.
Yeah.
Thank you both so much for your time. I really appreciate it. I thought this film was fantastic. A lot of twists and turns. So thank you both so much.
No,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Thank you so much for your
Thank you
time.
very
Really
much.
appreciate it. Michael, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate
Thank you.
it.
Appreciate it.